NFL show, as always, is brought to you by Manscaped. Make sure you check them out at manscaped.com. Use the promo code TGT20 to get 20% off your first purchase and free shipping. And it's a great gift for the holidays, Sam Teets.
You know, it sure is. You get the Lawnmower 3.0 in there. Plenty of other stuff as well. Some stuff I don't even know what it is, actually, like ball toner. I have no idea. I've never heard of that before.
Everybody needs ball toner and ball reviver and ball deodorant.
See, I understand what ball deodorant is. I have no idea what the other two things are.
How do you understand what ball deodorant is?
It's just, I'm assuming it's deodorant. There's not much to get with deodorant.
All right. So we are going to go ahead today. We're going to recap yesterday's Thanksgiving games, Thanksgiving Day games. We're going to look ahead to the week coming up. And I want to remind everybody right now, if you're watching this at 6:15 tonight, we'll have a special edition of Inside Boxing Day or Boxing Weekly, where we will preview the Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson fight with Peter McNeely, who in 1995 fought Mike Tyson. So make sure you check us out tonight for that. And at 8 o'clock tonight, the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show with myself, Joe Kelly, former Bengal linebacker, and Ty Robbins as we break down the Bengals and probably what's going to be another ass whooping. But let's go ahead and start off with yesterday. I think the two games were what we expected. The Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans. The Texans win the game 41-25. Deshaun Watson is playing almost as perfect as anybody can right now. He threw 4 touchdown passes, 2 over 25 air yards, completed 17 of 25 passes for 18 yards, a 150.4 passer rating. Sam, it's just a damn shame that Bill O'Brien had to wreck his team.
Yeah, why just go away and trade away DeAndre Hopkins like that? You think if you had him back on the team right now, or you had some of their key pieces back, this could be a playoff team. And really, it should be a playoff team with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Of course, he's got nothing really around him right at this point. In the past 6 games, he's completed over 70% of his pass attempts, averaging almost 300 passing yards per game, 15 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And the Texans have won 3 of the last 4 games. I mean, they're playing really well right now, but obviously not good enough to make a dent in the playoffs.
No, not at 4-7. Even 9-7 probably won't get you in this year, even with the extra team. J.J. Watt's pick 6 of Matthew Stafford, maybe to play the game. And last week he had 4 batted balls. He had to pick 6 yesterday. J.J. Watt's starting to look like a younger J.J. Watt now also.
You know, he's not getting to the quarterback as much. I think I'm seeing him be more stonewall along the offensive line. So you see a little bit of the age there. The get off is not the same. But really, he's playing well against the run. He's playing probably better against the run than he has the past couple of years. And so even though the sack totals aren't there, he's still a very productive defensive end.
Yeah, we got Matt Patricia, who now has lost to a 3-win team for the second straight week. They were beaten by the Panthers 20-0 last week. They were dominated yesterday by the Texans. Matt Patricia has to be done here. The Lions coach managed the game poorly. His defense is atrocious, and the entire team seemed to just sleepwalk through much of the contest.
Yeah, and you look at it. I know Jim Caldwell is not by any means like a fantastic head coach, but Caldwell was certainly a step up from what they've had in Matt Patricia. And I kind of went from being an average team that was right around 800 every year to a team now that's sitting towards the top of the NFL draft.
All right, the second game of yesterday, the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. And this game was pretty much decided in the first quarter when the Cowboys lost 2 more offensive linemen. Zach Martin, one of them. This was a killer for this team. Andy Dalton didn't have time to do anything. That Washington front 4 dominated the game. And Alex Smith didn't play great, but he did what Alex Smith does, which is he really managed the game well.
Yeah, he really did. He had that one bad interception, but other than that, I mean, considering what he's done over the past year since he got the injury, coming back now and winning a Thanksgiving Day game against the Dallas Cowboys and putting Washington in first place in the NFC East, that's huge for him. I think Antonio Gibson was probably the player of the day, though. 115 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Fantastic looking rookie running back. And for Dallas, you're right. I mean, you're losing Zach Martin, who was already moved to offensive tackle because they had so many injuries along that line. Now it's saying he's going to be out multiple weeks. I mean, you can't really do much for Andy Dalton there because you got backup offensive line basically at every spot.
And Montez Sweat made a J.J. Watt-type interception off of Andy Dalton, which really finished the game off. And this Redskins defense is the reason this team, as crazy as it sounds, at 4-7. And with Alex Smith managing the game, not turning the ball over, not making any awful plays, this Washington defense, especially the front 7, is the reason this team has a legitimate chance to end up in the postseason.
Well, they have so many first-round picks along that defensive line, and they have all been very productive this year. And Montez Sweat, I mean, the guy's already, 6'6", 6'5", puts his arms up in the air. He's 8 feet tall. it's very easy for a guy like that to go up there and block a pass, and it's good to see him having some production in his second year. By the way, Steve Rizzer is in our chat saying that Patricia and Dan Quinn should have been fired last year.
Actually, Patricia and Dan Quinn never could have been hired, but maybe Dan Quinn. But I don't think there was a reason to hire Patricia other than the fact that he was with Bill Belichick. Antonio Gibson, I think he's the other reason they have a shot. He ran the ball 20 times for 115 yards, 3 scores. There's 2 back-to-back games where he's played really well. And Antonio Gibson is a threat. The Dallas defense is a mess. And the fake punt that the Dallas Cowboys ran, and in the past they ran on 4th and 1, Mike McCarthy's ass should be fired, and he should never get another job, even with a Pee Wee football team.
You know, he was defending that play, the fake punt. He was defending that early. He said, it was a good play call. It's just the defensive special teams play for Washington made a good play. No, it was a terrible play call. I mean, by the time they even got the ball reversed, the players were already converging on Dallas's guy, I think it was Cedric Wilson, to make the tackle. It was a terrible play call. If you're going to fake that, you had so many other options to run a fake there, and you were in your own territory, deep in your territory, down by 3 points at that time. You were still in the game. There was no point in running that play at that time in that location. It was just a bad play call, and he needs to accept that.
All right. Steve Rizzer also says Watson is a top 5 quarterback. I've said that all along. I think Deshaun Watson might be the best quarterback in the NFL, Sam.
Yeah, you keep saying it over and over. I still lean towards Patrick Mahomes, but I agree that Deshaun Watson is better at controlling his power on some of the short and intermediate throws.
Huh. And then Marcus Carter. What's this mean? V. Bree morning, gents. Lay it on the line. Bless the civil unrest. Make it better.
I have no idea. There's just some accounts that go around saying stuff sometimes on Facebook. I have no idea what that means.
All right. And Steve Rizzer says that was one of the worst calls for the season. I think it probably was the worst call of the season. If it wasn't, it was probably another call Mike McCarthy made at some point. And we had Anthony Servino, who used to be on this show with the FF Faceoff, who was excited when they got Mike McCarthy. And I warned him back then, this was a horrible hire. The Cowboys are destined to suck as long as he is there. And I don't think there's any way around that. I mean, right now, I don't even think Mike McCarthy could be I don't even think the Cleveland Browns would hire him right now.
No, I really don't think so. I mean, this year's been terrible, and understandably, the talent, there's been injuries there as well. So you would say, ordinarily, if it was a good head coach, you might get to 6 wins, maybe get to 5 wins here and say, it's just injuries and stuff like that. But Mike McCarthy's lost them games this year.
All right, let's look at the games coming up this week. Are the Ravens and Steelers still playing, Sam?
That game's still on, but I have no idea if they're actually able to play or not. The Baltimore Ravens have closed down their practice facility through Monday, which means that they're probably not going to play on Sunday, although the NFL has the ultimate decision there. They haven't made a call yet. I don't know. Pittsburgh's not practicing today. They're going to practice probably tomorrow and just wait for more information. This is just a mess.
What should be done here?
I'm totally against making the team forfeit in the NFL because this is not a high school level thing. This is the NFL. You should play every game. But at the same point, I don't want this pushed back to Tuesday and then making Pittsburgh play in a short week because that's not fair.
You can't do that though because the Ravens play the Cowboys on Thursday night.
Yeah, well, I heard. Yeah, it's so weird. I have no idea how to do it here. This is a situation where there's really no great answer here. I don't think there should be a forfeit. At the same point, you're not going to push this game back to next week, so I have no idea what they're going to do in this
How about this?
Why
don't they do what they did with the Patriots when Cam Newton and all these guys were missed? Why don't you just make them play the damn game? This is part of the game this season, whether we like it or not. It shouldn't be postponed. The game should be played, and the only reason it won't be, Cam Newton and the New England Patriots are not a huge sell anymore. But this Ravens-Steeler game is, and Lamar Jackson, the golden child, the most overrated quarterback that ever freaking lived, they want to see him play the Pittsburgh Steelers. I want to see RG3. I mean, I don't see why this game wouldn't be played. You make everybody else play it under circumstances similar to this. Why wouldn't you make the Ravens? I mean, you're going to end up with them making a Week 18 just for this game. And what happens if you do that? And the Pittsburgh Steelers have everything clinched. And instead of actually playing to win against the Ravens, they're just waiting until the next week when the playoffs start, and they don't even play their starters. And then maybe the Ravens get the win, and they knock a team out that deserves to be in the playoffs. This is life. This is what everybody knew the rules were coming in. This game should not be forfeited. It should be played. If it can't be played because too many people have COVID, then forfeit the damn thing. Because we knew what was going on going in. Don't change anything from here. Either play the game or forfeit the game. But I don't want to see a game pushed to some imaginary Week 18 that we've never seen.
Well, another thing, the Ravens have already admitted it was on their fault because they've disciplined a coach on the training staff already for supposedly not following the rules. And if the Ravens are admitting some fault there, then it should be Baltimore's burden here in this situation, not placed on Pittsburgh.
Yeah, of course you're a homer, so you would say that. All
Well,
right.
yeah, of course I would. I mean, what did you expect, Mike?
If they play, since you're a homer, I think we could agree the Steelers will win this game.
Yeah, especially if you don't have Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, or J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, because Lamar Jackson would be a huge loss. All right, next up, the Las Vegas Raiders will travel to Atlanta to battle the Falcons. The Falcons are just 1-4 at home, but they suck on the road too. And Julio Jones' hamstring injury will be something to monitor throughout the week. The Raiders, meanwhile, are 4-1 on the road, and that includes a cross-country flight victory against Carolina in Week 1. I think this. I think the Raiders win this game. I think they're a much better team than the Atlanta Falcons. Coming off last week's tough loss to Kansas City, I think this is a game that the Raiders will win. And right now, the Raiders are favored by 3.5. I would give the 3.5 to the Falcons. I think the Raiders win this game by 10 points.
Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of saying there are such things as good losses. To me, losses are losses. But even looking back last week when they played the Chiefs, I mean, they played really well. They learned a lot about the Raiders in that 35-31 loss. And to me, they are one of the 5 best teams in the NFL right now against an Atlanta Falcons team that might not have Julio Jones. I don't think there's any way the Falcons win this game. The Raiders are going to win this one by 2 scores easily.
All right, next up, the Los Angeles Chargers will go to Buffalo to battle the Bills. And Justin Herbert continues to impress as a rookie. He's had 2 300-yard games in the last 3 weeks. The Chargers are yet to win a road game. The Bills had a bye week to stew about that dramatic Hail Mary loss to the Cardinals. The weather won't be a factor, but I think Josh Allen will take advantage of a weak Chargers defense, and I think the Bills win this game. And once again, I would give the 5.5 points.
Yeah, what you mean? The Bills are scoring a lot of points in the past couple weeks. They put up 44 against Seattle. They put up 30 against Arizona. And really, let's be honest, they're a better coach team. I know I'm not a big proponent of bashing Anthony Lynn, but at the same point, the Chargers have lost so many close games this year. I have to think the Bills are going to win this one with Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. Justin Herbert has made mistakes sometimes late in games. I think the Bills are going to have to win this one, and I would say they'll cover the spread as well.
All right, next up, the New York Football Giants will go to Cincinnati to battle the Bengals in a game that will probably not be a battle. The Giants are favored by 5. The Bengals lost Joe Burrow for the season, and you've got a choice of even Ryan Finley or Brandon Allen, which all of a sudden, Daniel Jones looks like the best quarterback in this game. Finley took 4 sacks against Washington last week. Jones will lead a low-risk passing attack. How about this? I think New York will get their 3rd consecutive win. I think it will be easy because I think Daniel Jones will throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against an atrocious Bengals secondary. Joe Judge is a much better football coach than Zach Taylor. I think the Giants win this game by double digits in Cincinnati, Sam.
You know what? I'll give Daniel Jones 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception because he's got to have that one mistake in there. I don't know it'll be a total blowout in that sense because they're going to have a little bit of trouble, I think, offensively for New York they have in the past. But at the same point, this is a Giants team that only lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the final play of a game. I mean, this is a team that is peaking right now. And really, it's going to be interesting to see how them and Washington, how this race comes down to the very end of the season. Because I think it's those 2 teams competing for this division crown right now. I will take the Giants. And I think this is ultimately going to come down to their defense shutting down Cincinnati's crippled offense.
Well, and I think also when you look at the comparison between the Redskins and the Giants, the big thing to me is both of them defensively are pretty good, but the Redskins front 7 is better. And I trust Alex Smith not to turn the ball over. You can't say that about Daniel Jones. So right now, the Washington football team, or as I like to call them, the Redskins, I think will win the NFC East.
I think they will too. And like you said, Alex Smith to me is the big decision maker there. And also, they have Antonio Gibson, a better running back than what New York has, and Terran McLaurin, a better receiver than anything the Giants have. So I think the Washington team has a better offense as well.
All right, next up, the Tennessee Titans will be 3.5-point underdogs as they travel to Indianapolis to battle the Colts. The Colts and Titans meet in a rematch that the Colts dominated the first game outside of the first 10 minutes. Both teams are coming off emotional overtime victories. I think this is all about adjustments in the AFC South rematch, and Ryan Tannehill has to make a few more plays in the passing game. The Titans will get payback in this game with a late TD run from Derrick Henry. I know the Colts are hot. I think the Titans are a slightly better team with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. I think the Titans eke out a 3-point victory in Indianapolis, Sam.
You know what? I picked against the Colts the past couple of weeks, and they keep proving me wrong. I'm going to actually pick with the Colts today because I want to be a little bit different from you, have a little bit of a different decision here. Philip Rivers has been hot. He really has. Philip Rivers has been one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL the past 2 or 3 weeks. They just beat the Packers. The key for Indianapolis winning this game is going to be establishing the running game. If they can run the ball as well as throw, because they've been able to pass the ball the past couple of weeks. If they can run with Jonathan Taylor, they will win this game. I think the Colts are going to win, and it's also going to be a 3 to 5 point game.
They will not win with Jonathan Taylor running the ball. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings will clash with the Carolina Panthers. I don't know if clash is the right word. 2 under 500 teams. I think this is the opportunity for a Teddy Bridgewater revenge game. But if he can't play, P.J. Walker proved that the offense can still function. Kirk Cousins has more support. He has thrown just 1 interception in his last 4 games. I think Dalvin Cook will dominate this game. The Vikings are favored by 4.5. I think the Vikings win the game, especially if Teddy Bridgewater doesn't play. But I'm going to go with the Vikings either way in a close one.
Yeah, I'll take the Vikings as well, just because Dalvin Cook, to me, is a huge game changer here. If you don't have Christian McCaffrey, you can't really equalize that out on Carolina's side. And even though Carolina, I think, has a better defense than Minnesota at this point, I would still think Dalvin Cook alone is enough to make the decision here. And Steve Risley has agreed with me. He's saying he's picking the Colts as well. But I don't know if it really helps my argument or not.
He's a home team. He's a homer. He's a homer. Steve Rizzer. Wonder if Rizzer or Risley are the same guy. I know they're not. But Steve Rizzer says Giants 31-17. Giants will run the ball all over the Bengals. D and Jones won't turn the ball over. The Giants get pressure on Allen. I don't even know if it's going to be Brandon Allen because it sounds like it could be Ryan Finley because Zach Taylor is trying to keep it quiet as he tries to figure out how to coach professional football. Next up, we have the New York Jets trying to get their first win against the Miami Dolphins. This is a huge game for the Dolphins after last week when Tua took his first loss as a starter against Denver. He took 6 sacks. The Jets, the first team to be eliminated from the postseason, do not have the same pass rushing ability. Tua makes the right adjustments here. The Dolphins get back on track, Sam?
Yeah, I think so. And you kind of have to. I mean, if you're Brian Flores, you have to hope that after pulling Tua last week, he comes out and has stuff figured out. He's not playing a very good team, let's be honest. It's the Jets. They're the worst team in football for a reason. The only player I have to worry about in the secondary really is Marcus May at safety. I would think Tua comes out here, has a very solid day. I think Brian Flores gets his team back on track, and again, the Jets will just stay winless. I think Sam Darnold might actually be playing this week for the Jets, but to me, that doesn't make much of a difference.
Is Sam Darnold playing?
I'm pretty sure he is. I'll pull it up right now. I'm almost positive they said that earlier today that Sam Darnold is going to go and Joe Flacco is going to be on the bench.
Okay. I am going to do this. I'm going to pick the New York Jets to get their first win of the season.
Really? That's an interesting one. I want to hear why.
My interesting one is this, because outside of the 2008 Detroit Lions, nobody goes 0-16. It's the same reason that I will occasionally pick against the Steelers because they're undefeated. But I also think this. I think the Jets have played better the last couple weeks. I think Sam Darnold's a good quarterback, and I think the Miami Dolphins are teetering right now. They were expecting to go in and beat Denver. The pressure's on right now. Tua's in, and I think that Brian Flores put even more pressure on Tua by benching him last week. I think that he puts pressure on his team that way. I think if the Jets hang in this game for the first half, I think the Jets will figure out a way to win the game, and then the AFC goes into mass chaos. And I like mass chaos.
That's true. I do too. It's fun when that happens. But Sam Darnold is confirmed being the star for tomorrow's game, or for what day is it? It's Friday, actually, right?
This is Friday, Sam.
Oh, well, 2 days from now, Sam Darnold is going to be the star for New York Jets, so you're going to have him in there instead of Joe Flacco.
Okay. And Steve Risley says the Giants are the hottest team in the NFL with a losing record. I don't think that's true. I think the Washington football team, or as I like to call them, the Redskins, are the hottest team in the NFL right now that has a losing record.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I'm looking through. I don't think there's any other team out there that's that hot right now. I mean, the Vikings at 4-6 occasionally, even though they just lost to Dallas. Maybe Carolina if they get all their guys back.
And you know the bad thing is, I offered Risley to come on the show and pick the games today. And he said no, but now he just sends us constant, his comments. Steve, you could have just been on the damn show. All right, next up, the Arizona Cardinals will go to Foxborough to battle the New England Patriots. This is a huge game for the Cardinals. Like the Patriots, it can be agreed or dead now. And with the Patriots all but out of the playoff race, the Cardinals are trying to get back on track after a big loss to the Seattle Seahawks. Arizona's defense has allowed 28 points or more the last 4 weeks. Will Bill Belichick come up with some defensive wrinkles to test Kyler Murray's patience? Or will Murray do what Deshaun Watson just did to New England? So who do you think here, Sam? The Cardinals are favored by 2.5 at Foxborough.
This is not as open and shove a game as I think I originally anticipated it would be in my mind. You got Kyler Murray. He's either going to be like Lamar Jackson, and he's going to play okay, but they're going to play into New England's hands, or he's going to be Deshaun Watson and just break New England's game plan. And me, I think he's going to be closer to the Deshaun Watson category. I think they're going to find a way to win this game if you're Arizona. I think it's going to be a close game, though, probably within a touchdown. I still give the edge to Arizona.
I think right here, Arizona's similar to Miami, where this is a game that's a must-win if they want to be a serious contender for the Super Bowl. And if you look at the playoff standings right now, I think they would be like the 7th seed. They would play the 2 seed. And actually, when I look at the playoff matchups right now, I don't know if you can pull them up, but if you pull up what would be the NFC playoffs today, I could actually see, of course, the home team will get a bye. I could see 3 straight upsets in the other 3 games. So I think anybody in the NFC playoffs is a Super Bowl contender, believe it or not. I also believe this. I believe the Cardinals have DeAndre Hopkins. And let's face it, the Baltimore Ravens don't have that. I think that this game will be close for about 3 quarters. I think the Cardinals will pull away, win the game. I would give the 2.5 points at New England, and I would take the Cardinals to win this game. And I think it's going to be a huge game for them, and they have to have it.
No, they absolutely have to have it. You look at the rest of the division right now. The Rams are 7-3. The Seattle is 7-3. If you fall too far behind as the Cardinals, you really risk getting left in the dirt here. And really, you're right. They are the 7th seed in the conference right now. Every other team that's in the playoffs has at least 7 wins besides Washington, obviously.
Yeah, and if you look at the NFC playoff standings right now, I mean, when you look at this, Sam, I can see a bunch of upsets.
Now, I could too. I mean, really, look at the teams. There have been holes all over the place. You talked about the Seattle Seahawks, well, their defense is terrible. I mean, the Arizona Cardinals already split with them. So Seattle's got a problem. The Packers have already got killed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they lost to the Colts earlier this year. And then you got Tampa Bay, who just lost to the Rams, and the Saints. I mean, who knows if the Saints are going to have Drew Brees or not? There are a whole bunch of question marks here.
You know what? It's possible that the Rams are the best team right now.
Well, because the defense, right? The defense is playing really well.
It's because of the defense. And Jared Goff is still better than Taysom Hill. The Packers can't stop the run, which is going to make it hard to do anything in the playoffs. Washington can stop the run, but let's face it, offensively, they don't have enough. Seattle, the defense is terrible. Tampa Bay, the offensive line has been questionable. The Arizona Cardinals, I mean, hell, if you look at it right now, the Cardinals would play a first-round matchup with the Rams. I don't think it's impossible the Cardinals could go and beat the Rams. If you look at 3 against 6, you got Green Bay, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay goes in there and beats them again because I think it's a bad matchup for them. Seattle against Washington at 5-4. I don't think that there's a guarantee Seattle wins that game just because Washington's defensive front is that good. Now, I think Seattle would win it, but I think that would leave you right now with the Saints, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Bucs maybe. And if the Bucs go to New Orleans probably wins. But, I mean, right now, New Orleans doesn't probably win if Taysom Hill's the quarterback.
That's a huge difference maker. And you're talking about how they finish out the season here. The Cardinals have to play the Rams twice in the final 6 games. They play them not this week, but next week, and they play them in week 17. So that's going to be the decision maker here is how the standings finish out. It's really going to be the Rams-Cardinals matchups.
Well, if you look at the AFC playoff picture right now, the first round matchup would be the Chiefs and the Raiders. And I think the Raiders are the last team in the world the Chiefs want to see right now.
Yeah, I mean, really, they're going to try to play fight to get in a different position. You don't want to line up with the Raiders whatsoever. That is the team you don't want to play. So they've proven they can beat you.
Yeah, and if I'm the Steelers, I don't want to see that because what if the Raiders do beat them? Then the Steelers got to play them in the divisional playoff game. So I think this is as wide open as we've seen coming down the stretch for the NFL playoffs over the last decade. And to tell you how weird it is, the Cleveland Browns can make the playoffs. They're going to play the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. This is a game that's a must-win game. I think they will win it. The Browns' defense has stepped up with Myles Garrett. Nick Chubb continues to shine. Cleveland's 4-0 when Chubb rushes for 100 yards or more this season. Jacksonville gets almost no pass rush. I think Baker Mayfield will actually have a big game for Baker Mayfield, which means he'll throw for 200 yards and no picks. I think Cleveland wins this game by double digits, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what Pittsburgh did to Jacksonville this past week, and you have to assume, I mean, Mike Glennon is the starting quarterback, I'm pretty sure, for Jacksonville. And that tells you quite a bit about how bad that offense is right now. And I don't see any way Jacksonville's defense contains guys like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb this game.
All right, next up, the New Orleans Saints will battle the Denver Broncos. I assume Taysom Hill is going to be the starter, Sam?
Yeah, I believe Taysom Hill is starting once again because Drew Brees is going to be out for multiple weeks.
All right, the Saints have the league's best run defense, so Drew Luck will have to force the issue more. That will lead to turnovers. New Orleans will take advantage. But I'm going to tell you this, Sam. I like the Denver Broncos in the upset here. I think that the defense is going to turn Taysom Hill over also. And I think Taysom Hill is limited being able to throw the ball. I think this is a low-scoring game. I think the Broncos win this game 17-16. If they don't, I would still take the Broncos into 5.5 points. I think this is a tighter matchup than what people think when you look at the matchups individually.
I am going to tentatively give this one to the Saints, but I understand why you're picking that. Because obviously, you look at Denver's secondary. Bryce Callahan, Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, very good secondary units, often underrated. Bradley Chubb up front. There's a lot to like there with Denver's secondary. It's just a Drew Lock on offense. I mean, if you shut down Denver's running game, they have absolutely nothing there. They got some good receivers, but Drew Lock can't take advantage of them.
All right, next up, the Los Angeles Rams will battle the San Francisco 49ers. And, of course, as always, it comes down to who's healthy for the 49ers. The Rams had a bye week to prepare for this rematch with the Niners. San Francisco won the first matchup with 3 TDs from Jimmy Garoppolo, but the 49ers have been riddled with injuries since. Jared Goff leads the Rams to a victory here with another efficient performance. Agree or disagree, Sam?
No, I agree with you there. If you don't have Jimmy Garoppolo or George Kittle, you've got no offense there. Raheem Mostert, I believe, is still out. So you're missing your top running back. There's just too many injuries here. It's a snake-bitten season for the 49ers. You got nothing you can do here.
All right, next up, we have a matchup between the old guard and the new guard. The Kansas City Chiefs will go to Tampa Bay to battle the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And Tom Brady is in yet another big game. And this is the 4th head-to-head meeting with Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs have won 5 straight, but the defense has allowed 31 points in each of the last 2 games. Tampa Bay's defense comes up huge in the second half. Brady delivers a game-winning vintage drive. Tom Brady beats Patrick Mahomes 34-31. I like the Bucs here. I think the Bucs will be able to run the ball. I think they're going to be able to score points. I think the Tampa Bay defensive front can kind of eliminate the Chiefs' running game a little bit, force Patrick Mahomes to beat them. But the problem is, if you give Brady the ball at the end of the game, I think Brady's going to get you. I'm going to go with picking my 3rd upset of the day. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay over Kansas City. And this is a rematch of the 1979 Classic, last game of the season, where the Chiefs traveled to Tampa Bay to play the Bucs, and the Bucs had to win the game to make it to the playoffs for the first time, to win the NFC Central. The interesting thing here is the Bucs had lost the previous 3 weeks, I think 2 of the games at home, and kept coming up short of winning the division. But they beat the Chiefs 3-0 on a field goal in a torrential downpour where it dumped like 6 inches of rain on the field. And I remember it look like waterfalls going down the damn steps at the stadium. I just figured I'd give you a little NFL history lesson.
I always appreciate the history lessons, Mike. But Steve Rizzo is going to side with me here on this one, pick Kansas City. I think Kansas City is going to win this game. And it's just because Patrick Mahomes is going to have to throw. You're right. They're not going to be able to run the ball that much. Mahomes is going to have to throw for 350 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns. I think he can do that against Tampa Bay secondary, which has really fallen off here towards the later part of the season. And frankly, Tom Brady's going to have to face a lot of pressure with guys like Frank Clark and Chris Jones coming down at him. I don't know if he can move that well. They've had injuries along the offensive line. They've shifted guys around for Tampa Bay. I don't think the Bucs are going to be able to run the ball. I think there are going to be some issues here. I think the Chiefs are going to ultimately prevail here against Tampa Bay.
I missed this. Steve Risley said he didn't come on because Sam made fun of my picks record from last week, and I don't need that abuse. This is a man that played for Bob Knight, and he doesn't need Sam Teason's abuse. He's obviously been broken down by Coach Knight.
Yeah, obviously, I'm just a cruel individual, so much worse than what anything Bob Knight can say to you.
Yes. And Steve, of course, picks KC 34-31, but I think we all agree then. It's a game that goes down to the last second that either team could win. All right. What do we got next? We have the Green Bay Packers against the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears season rests on this game. They have to win this. And can the Packers bounce back after an overtime loss at Indianapolis? The Bears' offensive struggles are well documented, and Green Bay will bounce back with another big game from Aaron Rodgers. And I think the last 5 meetings between these teams have been decided by 8 points or less. I think this one will be probably by 10, so maybe the biggest victory of them all. I think the Packers get the win here. I just think the Bears have too many offensive problems. And even if the Bears defense plays great, the Packers are going to put up 24 points, and I don't think the Bears can score that many points.
Even if the Packers score 24 points, I don't think the Bears get more than 10. I mean, really, they don't have an offense here. They don't have a running game, so it's not like they can take advantage of the fact that Green Bay's interior defense is weak. I don't think there's going to be any opportunity here for the Bears to win this game. Even if Aaron Rodgers throws an interception or two, I still don't believe they have the offense to make anything out of that if you're Chicago. So really, I'm taking Green Bay here. I think it's going to be fairly one-sided. I just don't think you have anything if you are the Chicago Bears. And the Packers, on the other hand, you barely lost an overtime game to the Colts last week. I think that's good enough for them to bounce back and have a nice win here.
All right. The Broncos had a player and 2 staffers test positive for COVID too.
Oh, geez. Here we go. All the late COVID news. We'll see how this changes anything.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm going to look at the COVID news.
Oh, I mean, it's the same thing every week, though. And we still end up playing games, so it'll be interesting to see if this actually changes anything or not.
Now, the thing that really worries me with the Tampa Bay game is A.Q. Shipley, who appears to have a career-ending injury. He was the fill-in starter over the past 2 weeks. So a lot of questions there is who's going to start at center? And this Buccaneers offensive line is even worse now. But Kansas City's defense doesn't give me any confidence. I think if you ask me right now, I think Kansas City or Tampa Bay, Kansas City is the bigger threat to win the Super Bowl because I don't think Tampa Bay's a threat. I think Tampa Bay's offensive line is too beat up, not very good. And I think in the end, that keeps them from possibly being a Super Bowl team.
Well, we talked about the offensive line here a couple of times, but Donovan Smith at left tackle has not played well this year. Ryan Jensen, your normal center, is moved to left guard because Ali Marpet's been hurt, and Ali Marpet is a Pro Bowl caliber guard, but when he's not on the field, obviously they're struggling, and AQ stepped in as the starting center. Now you probably have to move Ryan Jensen back to center and move one of your backup guards into position to replace Ryan Jensen. It's just going to be a mess here. And if you're going at that against a guy like Chris Jones, who may be the second best or the best pass rushing defensive tackle in the NFL, I don't think you're going to have a very good outing.
All right, so if you had to pick a Super Bowl right now, who would it be, Sam?
A Super Bowl right now, I would take Kansas City on the one side just because I believe the Chiefs, as long as they don't face the Raiders, I think they have a really good shot here just going right through the playoffs. And on the other side, which is really the interesting one to me, you know what? Seattle doesn't have a defense whatsoever. It's probably a dumb pick, but I'll take the Seahawks or Russell Wilson. The favorites would be the Saints, but I don't know if Drew Brees is going to come back or not.
I will say the Buffalo Bills. That'll drive Bobby Sheridan nuts too, because he gets mad every time I talk about how they're good. But I would say the Buffalo Bills against the Arizona Cardinals.
Really? I like that pick. I like that pick, though. That could be a good game.
I know, because those would be pretty uniforms, and they would clash perfectly. It would make for a prettier game while the Weeknd does the halftime show. And we talk about the halftime show. Is anything worse than watching what was the Cowboys' name that sang at the halftime of the Cowboys, the country singer?
I have no idea. I saw a tweet about that yesterday, but I have no idea who they even was. I've never heard of them.
That was the worst lip syncing you'll ever see.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't that good. I imagine it'll be something similar.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad. I mean, not that he's not a bad singer, but he's a bad lip syncer.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do really. It's so hectic with all the technology and stuff like that. You got to give him a little bit of a break.
Well, I think with the COVID, the thing that needs to be done for this next halftime show is actually to have Janet Jackson perform and show us her boobs.
What year was that? That was...
I don't know. What Super Bowl was it? Was it like Baltimore and the Giants or something?
I think it might have been. It was a while ago. Early 2000s.
I think it was Baltimore and the Giants, but I'm not sure. But it was the only highlight of that game, too, because if I remember right, that was like 34-10 or 35-10 where the Giants just got owned.
Yeah, because wasn't Kerry Collins the Giants starting quarterback that year or something like that?
Yeah, and that's the year that they beat the Vikings in the championship game 41-0 when Randy Moss refused to run routes because he didn't get enough tickets for his entourage for the game.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah, I do
blame him.
remember hearing about that.
Can't blame him though. If your buddies don't get tickets, why would you even try to get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
But
I never got it. I never understand when people do stuff like that.
I was kidding about the Bills Cardinals thing, by the way, at least with the Cardinals part. So
All right, who'd you really take then?
I do think the Cardinals are good enough to pull an upset or two. I think the Raiders are good enough to pull an upset or two. I would say right now, man, Bills Seahawks or Bills Rams. I still
I can
think
see that.
if the Seahawks play the Rams, I still think Russell Wilson will figure out a way to win the game.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, Russell Wilson's just that good. I think he'll be clutch in the playoffs, which is why I have Seattle getting there. Obviously, it's for no point in their defense. Their defense is terrible.
Yeah, which is really hard to pick a team. I mean, if you look at it, teams that run the ball and teams that stop the run are the best teams. That's the Saints. But I'm not going to trust Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston to take him to the Super Bowl. And I'm not 100% convinced here that we're going to see Drew Brees again this year.
No, I mean, you look at the injury he had, cracked ribs on both sides of his body, collapsed lung. I mean, for a guy his age, he's not going to be bouncing back in 2 or 3 weeks. He's going to be on short-term IR probably.
Okay, hold on here, because Steve Risley says Knight was never as vicious and condescending as Teats can be.
I don't know about that, Steve. I think I'm a nice guy.
And then Steve Risley, I have an opinion on the COVID issues, and it's in line with Mike's opinion. Steve Rizzer says KC versus Seattle is his pick. I don't like that. And the reason I don't like it is that's an AFC matchup. That's not a Super Bowl. Seattle, you probably didn't know this, Sam, but Seattle used to be in the AFC.
They shifted the divisions quite a few times. They had a couple teams over the years. I didn't know they used to be in the AFC. Thank you very much.
They were in the AFC. And I mean, KC Seattle to me, when I think Kansas City Seattle, I think 1983 at the Kingdom.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, give me the history lesson, Mike.
Well, 1983 at the Kingdom, Bill Kinney, who was a hell of a quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, battled Jim Zorn, and it was like a 51-48 classic. I don't even remember who won. I just remember it was 51-48, and whoever had the ball always scored. So I don't know. And Steve Risley would like Little Moss, which he changes to Nas, Little Nas, I guess, perform at the Super Bowl.
No idea.
Hold on, no wait. He said Little Nas, and it didn't even happen at halftime. I don't know what the hell that is.
I don't know either.
Steve Rizzer said it was 2003 with the nipple slip. Steve Rizzer, Panthers, Pats. I don't know. Oh, okay. That was a great Super Bowl too. Underrated game, like 39-38.
Yeah, that was one of the game-winning field goals by Vinatieri, right?
Yes. And Kerry Collins had a terrible game. Okay. All right. I want to remind everybody, we have the sports event of the decade, Roy Jones Jr. against Mike Tyson, a 51-year-old against a 53-year-old in exhibition. But we're going to talk about it tonight with former heavyweight contender Peter McNeely, who in 1995 or 96 fought Mike Tyson after Tyson got out of jail on a big pay-per-view extravaganza. And Peter is always colorful. And we'll talk a little bit about leading up to his fight with Mike Tyson, talk about a little of the 90 seconds he was in the ring with Mike Tyson. But the dude, I mean, he was in the ring with Mike Tyson for 90 seconds and he made $1 million. So who's bitching about that? Took a lot of balls to do that. And then we will talk about Peter, who I've seen is actually thinking about making a comeback also to fight Tony Tucker, who was a belt holder in the 1980s in the heavyweight division. And then, of course, we'll break down Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson, whether it'll be a real fight or not. Tonight at 8 o'clock, and that'll be at 6:15 Eastern time. At 8 o'clock tonight, we'll have the Cincinnati Bengals weekly show with myself, Ty Robbins, former Cincinnati Bengal linebacker Joe Kelly, who started in Super Bowl 23, to break down where the Bengals go from here with Joe Burrow out probably until the 2022 season. Zach Taylor hopefully out after this season. You can follow Sam Teets at Sam Teets 33. And he will on Monday morning after I win the pick'em here. And I took underdogs too, Sam, to give you a chance.
You did. You gave me a chance here. I appreciate that.
All right. So, Sam, after he loses to me, it's Sunday night or Monday morning, go to his Twitter where he will explain all about shaving his balls with the Lawnmower 3.0 manscaped.com. Promo code TGT20 for all your ball shaving needs. And you get free shipping also. Isn't that right, Sam?
That's exactly right. As long as you use our promo code.
Got to use the promo code TGT20. Make sure also you check us out at Rockfin. We posted some content today, like an interview with former Cincinnati Bengal great Kenny Anderson, which you can get on there. You can sign up for free for $9.99 a month. You get everybody on there's content, not like YouTube. They don't edit or block you from doing anything. So make sure you check us out on Rockfin. But for now, for Sam Teets, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legend